Hi guys, today I'm going to show you how to make a festive tart. It's basically a mincemeat with some glacé cherries and some raspberry flakes and some grated apple, and actually I don't have any, but cranberries work really well, and if I had some in my house I would put them in, so they work really well. And it doesn't actually involve a lot of effort, and you can either buy pre-bought sweet shop pastry or you can make your own like I've done here. And it's actually pretty simple, so I'm just going to show you really quickly what you need to do next. I've now grated my apple. That was just one apple, and I just want to show you it's not that wet in there because that is the apple juice that I've squeezed out. So it is quite important that you squeeze it out because there is so much in there that you'll end up with a soggy tart if you don't. So just squeeze that out with your hands. It doesn't need to get everything out, but you just want it to be a much drier apple. Then I have 1 jar of mincemeat. This one doesn't have nuts in because that's my preference, but you could of course use any. I think this is a 400-gram jar, 411 grams. Okay, so we've got that. Then we've also got glacé cherries, and these are raspberry flakes, which are basically like dehydrated juice in flakes. So that's what they are. Cranberries work really well, and especially well are the orange soaked ones. If you want to, you can grate the zest of a lemon in, which I will be doing, so sorry for not showing you that earlier. But oranges work well, and limes as well. Right, I'm just going to add the lemon now. So you just need to zest one and then put it in there. Don't add more than that because you really don't want to affect the taste too much. You just want to give it a little bit of life. One last optional ingredient. This is sherry. You don't have to add sherry. You could add brandy, you could add rum, you could mix it out all together. You don't want to add too much because you don't want to make the mixture particularly wet, but it does just give it a nice festive feel. And it smells really good. Okay, so I'm going to put this to one side and we're going to roll out the pastry. Because I've used real butter, it does have a tendency to be really firm. Oh, so you just need to flatten it out, and we're just going to work it a little bit. Okay, so now it's nice and soft, we can start to roll it out. We are going to put this in the fridge again for about 20 minutes, half an hour, or you could pop it in the freezer if you want to, because it will need to chill out before we can cook it. Okay, so you can see now I've rolled out my pastry. It's nice and thin, it's just a few millimeters thick, so 1/8 of an inch. I've checked that my tin will fit, so we can start to put it in. The great thing about this kind of pastry is that it is really good for coming back together. So if you do manage to split it, don't worry about it, it's not the end of the world, you can put it back together. So if you just sort of fold it in a bit to start with, tear a bit off the edge that you don't need, make it into a little ball, and then we're just going to go around and push it into the corners. Okay. So just before I start neatening it up on the inside, I'm just going to get rid of this excess. Don't cut it too tight because one of your corners might have lifted up and you might need to push it back down. But this way you can just get rid of some of your excess. If I wasn't doing this for the camera, I'd probably do it in a slightly safer way, so please don't cut yourself doing this. It's not good. Okay, now we're going to go back in and we're properly going to push it down. Make sure you push it all the way up, and if you've got fluted edges you'll be able to see they're fluting all the way up. Okay, we've gone all the way around. Now I'm going to slice it. I'm going to slice it just flush with the top. Be aware that pastry shrinks. Now you could just stop at this point, put it in the fridge for half an hour, and then come back and do the rest, but I'm going to do the whole lot and then I'm going to pop it in the fridge. So it'll go straight from the fridge into the oven. Okay, so that's my pastry case. Just pop a couple of holes in the bottom. And now we need to gather up this part and pop it into a ball. We're going to make the lattice with these leftovers. Right. Okay, so I've rolled this out. First thing I'm just going to do is cut that bit off because I don't need it. Now, how thick you do these is completely up to you, but you just want it to be consistent. That wasn't the straightest. You can use a knife, but I just find that a knife can drag a little, and pizza cutter gets you a nice sort of drag-free finish, and it's really easy. Okay, so these are my lattice lines. I might have to do some more. I'm just going to move these out of the way. Just try and get it as flat as you can. You don't really want it to come up much higher than this because the pastry is going to shrink and you don't want it to look stupid. Okay, so just slide them over like that. Okay, so you can see that they're on there like that now. You could use, some people use egg wash, some people use water, but I just find that a simple push works well. So if I just show you on this one, just let it slide down a little, then just push, and you're done. Okay. There we go, it's now ready to go into the fridge. It needs at least half an hour, and then I'm going to pop it into the oven. Because I don't want my pastry to go to waste, I'm actually going to make some cookies, and I've got these cookie cutters and they're all like Christmas shapes, so that's what I'm going to use them up on. So if you were wondering why I was preheating so early, it's because I'm just going to make some cookies really quickly. This is it now that it's come out of the oven. It was in there for 30 minutes. But depending on the size of your tin, you might find it takes a different amount of time, but 30 minutes was perfect for mine. I'm just going to zoom in there for you. As you can see, it has shrunk quite a considerable amount, which is why you needed to leave a little bit of extra space. Everything comes in, which is not a problem, but you can now see that it doesn't look like it was empty at all. So you need to leave this to cool. You can serve it warm, but leave it at least 10-15 minutes before you serve it. You can dust it with icing sugar. It goes really, really well with thick cream or ice cream. So happy festive season, and thank you very much for watching.